Well, in my view, the artists are the only people who are in direct connection with ultimate reality, that everybody else lives in a world that they've invented or has been invented for them by some cultural or political system. And I take the example of somebody like Vincent van Gogh. It took 100 years before the world market accepted the fact that what he was putting out before us in his pictures became extremely valuable. Now we term that economically on the amount that we're prepared to pay for his pictures, but behind all that, what we're saying is this person saw a world that none of us saw until now. In the present situation where there's no money for anything, the very first thing that's cut is art. I mean, let's get our facts right now. We're talking about, and in education, the very first thing to go is grants for art. So we have actually got the lowest appreciation of what is the power of art and what is the reason for art. We see it as pure decoration, as illustration, as something that you have when everything else is put in place. You get a bit of, just as if you were putting flowers in a vase or something like that. Whereas in fact, art is the most important force for guiding us towards the future. Artists sketch the possibilities that nobody's ever thought of before, and that's why they're absolutely essential to us. How we hear, how we see, how we touch, how we live, all of those things are much more sophisticated than we've ever imagined, and it's artists who are working out all that, sometimes in isolation, sometimes in penury. And we have to actually make a resolution that if we don't listen to what these people are saying, we're not going to survive even. The 20th century was probably one of the most ghastly centuries that the human race has been through, because we allowed politicians and warriors to actually run our lives for us. And the more sensitive people were sidelined, and those who didn't want to fight, and those who said, no, I conscientiously object to slaughter, murder, were completely obliterated, or they were put in prison, or they were ostracized, or whatever. Whereas in fact they were the only ones with any sense at all. And what we went through in the 20th century, nobody ever wants to go through that again. So the way to avoid it is to find the people who are actually in touch with their own humanity, in touch with their own unconscious, in touch with what it means to be a human being. And that's the gift of art. That's what art expresses.